And we are now recording.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is a webinar about the revisions to the Provisional Licensure Program. We're going to go through a slide deck. When we're done, you can feel free to ask questions in the Q&A area in the webinar, or you can raise your hand and we can hear you and you can ask us questions orally as well. My name is Audrey Ching. I'm a director here at the Office of Admissions at the State Bar of California. With me is Tara Clark. She's also a director. Christina Dole, also working in this area with provisional licensure. And our wonderful captain of the facilitation of this meeting, Teresa Selensky. She works in law school regulations, so you might have seen her and heard her name before. So that's the squares that you see, calling ourselves squares, but the Zoom squares that you see on your screen. And we're going to just get started right away so we can get through the information and then hear from you, not just about questions you might have about the changes to provisional licensure, but what you might be doing at your law schools for your alumni to help with placement if they want to find a supervising attorney and be in the provisional licensure program. So sort of to keep that in the back of your mind as we're talking, because it would be great to hear some best practices that law schools are also doing to help their potential provisionally licensed lawyers get matched with supervising attorneys. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right. Does this show the presentation notes?
There we go. Perfect.
It does not.
No, it does not.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, Provisional Licensure Program. Tara and I are going to lead this deck, and then we'll hear from you. All right.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time. And so you may already be familiar with the Provisional Licensure Program. So just as a reminder, this is now our third cohort of applicants. So the first iteration of the program was made available during COVID for our 2020 graduates, since the bar exam got pushed back and whatnot. And so those folks were able to participate in the program starting in November 2020. It was initially set to sunset at the end of this year. However, with the addition of the February 2025 takers, that cohort has also been extended to December of 2027. And then our second group, we have our Pathway to Licensure folks. So as you may recall, also during the pandemic, this is when the Supreme Court had decided to lower the cut score for the bar exam. And so rather than making it retroactive, they allowed applicants who had scored between the 1390 and 1439 within the past couple of years on the bar exam to participate in the Pathway to Licensure. So that was available in early 2021. And those are the folks that have to complete so many hours, get a positive evaluation from their supervisor, and do not have to retake the bar exam. And there's another slide in a moment that will talk through the changes again. That cohort is still ending at the end of this year. So those folks, if they are not licensed through the program by the end of the year, they will have to then pass the bar exam. And so now our new folks are February 2025 first time takers who either withdrew from or were unsuccessful on the exam. And so those applicants have been notified if they are eligible. The amended rules go into effect on September 1st. So that's when we also anticipate launching the application in the portal. And then, as mentioned earlier, this cohort will have until December 31st, 2027 to participate. Perfect, thank you. And so here's just a brief overview of the key differences in the program. So for the 2020 graduates, as well as our February 2025 takers, they're allowed to practice in this provisional capacity. However, to be admitted, they must still take and pass the bar exam. And they do not report their hours, and there's no supervisor evaluation at the end, since this is not the pathway to licensure. On the flip side, those who are admitted through the program, again, do not have to retake the bar exam. Instead, they just have to report 300 hours of supervised legal practice, which is verified by their supervisor. And then at the end, they must have a positive evaluation from their supervisors as well. They have to meet the other requirements for admission, so passing the MPRA, moral character and whatnot, but then they can be admitted without having to retake the bar exam. And so for this group of applicants, As I mentioned, we are anticipating opening the application in the applicant portal on September 1st. Pursuant to the rules, they have until December 31st of this year to apply, so it is a quick turnaround time. And they must have a supervising lawyer when they apply. So this is why we wanted to get the word out early to those who are eligible, so that way they can start trying to find a supervising lawyer and whatnot. And different from the prior iterations of the program, these folks must pass the MPRE, so 86 or higher, and have that score on file with the state bar by December 31st of 2025, as well as have a positive moral character determination by the end of this year, unless they received an adverse and it's currently on appeal. But for most folks, it's going to be having that positive determination. And so we did send out a reminder as well for those without the passing MPRE score to try to encourage them to sign up for August, because after August, there's only one more iteration of the MPRE before the end of the year. And those who do not have a positive moral character application or one pending, we've sent them a couple of reminders as well to try to encourage them to submit it earlier, because as most of you are aware, it can take up to 6 months for us to complete that process. And so once they have applied, they've met these requirements, they're approved. The next excuse me, the next big target date for this group is going to be May 31st, 2026. So they must have a supervising lawyer who's committed through the end of the program. If you do get questions on it, that doesn't mean that they can't switch. You know, there might be things that happen and whatnot. The rules still provide for changing supervising lawyers, but it's just so that way that supervising lawyer that they have is not saying, I'm only going to supervise you through the end of the year, something of that they're at least committed through supervising them through the end of the program or when the applicant passes the bar exam, whichever is first. And then this group, similar to the others, does have to complete the new attorney training program. So this is what's different is so they only have 5 months from the approval of their PLP application or by May 31st, 2026, so whichever is earlier. So again, this version of the program, the timeline's a little more expedited than it has been in the past. But if you are familiar with the program, the general responsibilities and permitted activities for both the PLP and the requirements for the supervising attorney are the same. It's always good if you get any questions on this, please remind them to expressly refer to themselves as a provisionally licensed lawyer. They're not able to claim to be a fully admitted attorney in California or a fully licensee. They also have to include their supervising lawyers information on any document they file with a court or any other tribunal. They're bound by the rules of professional conduct. And so as long as they adhere to the rules, they are able to complete a variety of legal activities, including appearing before a court or administrative tribunal, drafting legal documents, engaging in negotiations and settlement. And generally, the scope of work is left up to the supervisor. And one of the other requirements we like to remind folks, and if you get questions on it, is that the PLL is actually also required to immediately report termination of supervision to us. So sometimes they forget and they think the onus might be on the supervising lawyer, but it is on them as well. Okay.
Okay, I think this is where I pick up in the slide deck. So, talking about supervising lawyers. So, in order to be a supervising lawyer for a provisionally licensed lawyer, you have to have practiced law for at least 4 years in any US jurisdiction. You have to actively practice law or taught law in California for at least 2 years immediately preceding the time of supervision. You have to be an attorney in good standing. You have to work at the same organization as the provisionally licensed lawyer. You have to disclose in writing that the provisionally licensed lawyer may provide legal services for a client. You assume the professional responsibility for any work product of that provisionally licensed lawyer. You have to be prepared to assume personal representation of the provisionally licensed lawyer's clients. And then you have to notify the state bar of any changes regarding you as the supervisor or the work of the provisionally licensed lawyer within 10 days. This is where I think you can really, in terms of assisting any provisionally licensed lawyers or any of your alumni who might be interested in supervising, where you can really look at what the benefits are. So provisionally licensed lawyers gain real world experience. They're practicing law under the supervision of an experienced California attorney. From the last time we surveyed the current cohorts, 86% of provisionally licensed lawyers reported being satisfied or extremely satisfied with the program. 89% agreed or strongly agreed that the program was valuable in preparing them for the, real world practicing of law. And then supervising lawyers also experience a lot of benefits. 92% reported being satisfied or very satisfied with the work of their provisionally licensed lawyer. 83% found them very hardworking. 68% reported that they had a lot more capacity to serve clients with the provisionally licensed lawyer. 58% reported that the provisionally licensed lawyer added diversity to their practice. So here's where you can come in. And again, once I close out this deck, I would love to hear about how you might already be connecting and helping your alums to become provisionally licensed lawyers or supervisors. Law schools can really help with all the resources they have. So the Alumni Network, Law School Career Services help pair eligible students or graduates with prospective supervising lawyers. You can raise awareness of the program, link to the pages on the State Bar describing the program, trying to see if anyone's interested in matching, or if your alums who are first-time takers who are unsuccessful in the February exam want to participate, they should feel that they could have some capacity building from their law school. Understanding the program, so asking questions, coming to this webinar. Obviously, we're recording it, and we have a lot posted on our website as well, so you can feel knowledgeable and answer questions. And then some of the deadlines that Tara was talking about are very aggressive. So the application opens September 1st, but by December 31st, you have to have that positive moral character determination. So hopefully a lot of the folks thinking about it that we've emailed have already started their application and submitted it. And then you have to pass the MPRE. So again, we have emailed all the eligible individuals who were first-time takers or withdrew unsuccessful on the exam in February. We've emailed them telling them you have to have a passing score in the MPRE by December 31st. But that means there's really only one more MPRE date left if they haven't done that yet. So again, I said I would love to hear first, but we can hear any questions at all. What you might be doing already, best practices for other schools, or any questions you have about the program or for us.
And one change I will point out as well, I think we didn't mention it in the presentation, is that the fees are actually changing from prior iterations. So those who are volunteering, there's still no cost to apply. And then the fee for those either who are working and getting paid or working at IOLTA-funded organization and the organization's paying the fee, those two fees will be set tomorrow at the joint board and committee meeting.
I'm looking to see if there's any questions, any hands raised. And you are welcome to ask them in the Q&A. It's at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And also we'll wait for hands raised. Charles.
I have two questions, actually. Does the State Bar contact any of those graduates that are eligible for the PLO program?
We've sent out email communication to everyone who is eligible, telling them about a somewhat aggressive timeline to be able to apply and then remain eligible by December 31st of this year. So we have contacted all those eligible.
Okay, and my second question is, as a law school dean reporting our NPRs every year, is there any benefit to the law school for a graduate that successfully completes the PLO program?
You mean, well, I'm so sorry. You mean if they have to still take and pass the bar exam, you mean?
Well, I mean, we are not reporting our bar pass rate goes down, obviously, if they don't pass.
Mhm.
But if then they become provisionally licensed successfully through this program, is there any benefit to the law school for that?
Well, I think the benefits really are to that person who is in the real world practicing law and how that might shape the way that they perform maybe on a future bar exam. But in terms of if you want to report how many provisionally licensed lawyers you have or supervising attorneys as part of any kind of addendum for your annual report, I think that would be interesting to know, but I don't know how to list that out as a benefit.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do have a question in the chat that maybe we can just answer live. Bridget Ann Bennett says, is there a possibility that an applicant works with an attorney for the full-time period and gets an unsatisfactory review?
So just to clarify as well, so the reviews only apply to the folks that are currently in the Pathway to Licensure program. They don't have to report hours or have the supervisor evaluation for the February 2025 applicants. Yes, of course, there's always the possibility, but the rule of court does provide that if the supervising lawyer can't attest that they possess the minimum competence, then the PLO would be required to complete additional hours and then establish that they do have that minimum competence. So it's not that it's a ban to being admitted, it's just more may be necessary.
All right, we have another one from Lori Bonner who says, is there a way to get a list of which students from our schools are eligible and received notice?
So this is something we talked about internally, and I think what we're able to do is we will send out a notice to the students again and encourage them to reach out to their school just to seek guidance and assistance. But unfortunately, we're not able to provide the list directly.
I see Jason Amezqua's hand.
Hi, Jason.
Hi. Hello. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it. So just so I'm clear, because the 2020 PL program was before my time. So people that from that period are still eligible, but they already have to be participating in it, or can they get back into it if they were in it and left because they tried to take the bar exam or what have you? Is that still a possibility?
No, their ability to remain in the program was extended, but we're not reopening that program. The only folks who can apply when the application opens September 1st are those February first-time takers who were unsuccessful or withdrew.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'll just add briefly, because I know we're asking you to share any best practices you may have, is that we are in communication with the California Lawyers Association to see if they'll work with us and help support the program again and put on an informational webinar. So we are doing that as well.
And I also see Bridget's hand again. Your mic is enabled.
Okay, thank you for what you're doing today. It's very beneficial. Is it possible that if somebody goes on this licensure program, and maybe after 2 years they go, I think I want to just take the bar again and become a lawyer faster, can they switch, or are they sort of stuck in the program?
They can be taking the bar exam and seeing if they pass at any time when the program is before it sunsets. So, they can apply in September, get all the requirements met, take the February bar exam. If they pass, they can exit the program. I mean, they just, can't remain in the program past that 2027 date when it sunsets, but they can be attempting to pass the bar exam the whole time they're in the program.
Thank you.
Yes, to clarify, there's a question. Christina's also typing the answer, but yes, this new cohort identified by the Supreme Court, why we're opening up this program, does have to pass the bar exam before the program sunsets. Thank you. And I don't know if anyone wanted to share from prior experiences with the 2020 provisionally licensed lawyers, if they have any best practices on how they were able to help alums, and kind of go through the benefits of being a supervising attorney or being a provisionally licensed lawyer. So if you have anything like that to put in the chat or to explain, I think that could be helpful. So for now, I see a question in the chat from Bridget. Is this a one-time program for this year, or will it continue in the future? So we've had, again, these iterations of the program from 2020 graduates to when the court changed the cut score, and then we had a pathway to licensure, and now we have this February 2025 cohort. And that is all we have at this moment. I don't know in terms of conversations about what the future of attorney licensure will look like, kind of a broader conversation about where does supervised practice fit in. Other states are doing different things than California, but that doesn't mean in the future we won't consider supervised practice as part of a pathway to licensure. But that's like a more of a blue sky conversation for this more narrow conversation on the rules about provisionally licensed lawyers. We're adding this cohort for an application opening September 1st. And then the original 2020 graduates, that is also going to be extended to December 2027. And other than that, that is all we have to share at this point in time. Yes, so Charles Katz has asked the total number of February 2025 takers that are eligible. It's about 1,000 first-time takers who either withdrew or were unsuccessful. Okay, I think it's Gabrielle Bellman, but your name is listed twice, but asking, do they need to be working for that attorney? Yes, they need to be supervised in the same organization as that attorney.
And they can be employed loosely because they can also be volunteering, but it has to be with the supervising attorney in the same organization. So
that's right. Thank you for all the questions. I really appreciate it.
I'll say, and just as a reminder that you or others at your school may also be eligible to be a supervisor if you have practiced law in any jurisdiction for 4 years, and then have practiced law in California or taught in a California law school for at least 2 years immediately preceding, and then in good standing. So it's not just connecting the potential PLLs with other alumni, but potentially also you all could help.
Yeah, so you could also think about, look at the deep within yourself or other faculty thinking, you know, some of us could take on a provisionally licensed lawyer as well.
So there's a question in the chat. Is there a minimum number of hours they have to work as they do bar prep for the next upcoming exam? So no, so this, again, the February 2025 cohort of professionally licensed lawyers, there's no hour requirement since they are just given this ability to practice in this limited capacity while trying to pass the exam. So if you have to lessen their hours during that time, that's perfectly fine. It's between the PLL and their supervisor.
We have another question. If a faculty member took on an applicant, what type of work is approved?
It's pretty broad. I'm gonna see if I can. I know we had some pretty generic language, but I'm see if we want to look at the rule language, or if you want to just answer that, Tara.
So it's largely left up to the discretion of the supervisor, but so they're able to help draft pleadings again if there's any appearances in court, research, anything of that nature. But it's pretty broad. They're not allowed to touch any CTA accounts, but other than that, it's pretty broad. And then there's another question: if the faculty member takes out a provisional licensed lawyer, would they need to be working for the school or educational institution? So yes, if it's in association with the school, then they would need to be. Or if anybody also has like, if you're in, have your own law office on the side or anything of that nature, you could also do it in that manner. It doesn't necessarily need to be through your main employment, but they do need to be associated with the same firm that's listed on the supervising attorney declaration.
And also, would it, we have a question asking if it would be best that the applicant worked in the legal clinic of the law school, I'm assuming?
I mean, I think it's pretty discretionary by the supervisor. That sounds like a great assignment, but I think that it could be some hours there. It could be, it's again in the rule. It is pretty broad.
And then another question about, I guess, the PLLs working within the law school. Would they be considered an employee?
So from the rules perspective, it is a little bit loose again because the PLLs can actually be volunteering, they can be unpaid. So I think it's hard for us to answer that question exactly. It would likely be up to the institution how they categorize a person, but
Yeah, depending on the organization, if it's like a stipended work or hourly rate, it probably depends on how the provisional licensed lawyer is being paid or not paid by the organization. So there's a question about, will this be extended? That would be something, again, these are rules of court from the Supreme Court, so I have not heard anything in regard to whether or not the court will extend this provisional licensed lawyer program to July takers. So at this time, I would say no. Well, since we have the time, I'll see if anyone has any best practices from the 2020 graduates, or, placement for those who actually ended up becoming licensed through the pathway. Any things that could apply to this new cohort could be helpful. I'll just, have a few more minutes of awkward silence if anyone thinks of anything to share or any last questions. Again, we're going to post this webinar. It's being recorded. I think what makes sense is we'll wait until after tomorrow when the Board of Trustees and the Committee of Bar Examiners meets to decide the program fee, so we can add that to the recording so people will know what we're going to charge for the application when it opens.
Did get another question asking about what kind of specific instruction the eligible candidates were given about who they should reach out to if they're interested.
So far, we've just given them our just admissions email, but in a follow-up email, we're planning to let them know to reach out to their schools. And just since we know that everyone has maybe a different person that may be the focal point, we'll just broadly say reach out to your school and they may be able to help assist you.
Right. If there's a specific question, obviously about eligibility requirements, deadlines, they would put those through to the applicant portal and our team would answer them. But if they're asking about placement, I think we would like to refer them also to the Law Career Services at their school. Okay, well, this is not the last time to ask us any questions, of course. Please feel free to get in touch with us. You know, I've sent out reminders of Teresa about how to register, so you know how to get in touch with us and let us know if you have further questions. We will post this again, waiting to see what the fees will be so we can append that to the posting. And then it's, you know, only a couple of weeks before the application opens. So when it opens, if there are more questions as we proceed through this new iteration of the Provisional Licensure Program, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for attending. Good to, well, I didn't see you, but it's good to virtually be in community with you.
Yes. Thank you so much,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.